Max, I'm confused. I saw Alabama play Ole Miss.
Okay.
Ole Miss goes to LSU in Baton Rouge. 8-15 kick.
Right.
Ole Miss is pitiful, I think. Why is the line only 10.5?
Because nobody believes in LSU yet. I had that same conversation yesterday. You know, even they voted number 5 in the country, and they beat 2 of the top 10 teams on the road. Nobody believes in them yet. I had Ron Higgins on with me, and Ron's, you guys may know, Ron's been covering SEC for 25, 30 years. He's now the sports editor of the Clarion Ledger in Jackson, but he just came from Baton Rouge. He has an LSU degree. He's followed LSU for 25 years. And we had this conversation yesterday. The fact is that nobody believes in them yet. And he understands why. He said, you know, it's Ogeron, part of his personality, didn't do very well against, you know, when he was the head coach at Ole Miss. Has had a good run at Southern Cal and at LSU since he's been back. But I think that's the whole thing, Barry. And I heard some online folks last night talking. These are the guys in Vegas and all gaming. They think Ole Miss is going to cover that line.
Yeah, the over-under is 60. And LSU's got a good defense, don't they, Max?
Well, they got 2 really good corners, and I think that's where it relies. I've already said, for them to be competitive, they're going to have to score 40 points.
Well, one of the things that's happening here, fellows, is that in order to get things off to a good start offensively, they've been somewhat vanilla offensively. Yeah. They've stuck it in the halfback's belly, and then he's run with it some. They patched it some, but I think they've been vanilla with it in order to get a guy who is not going to do anything spectacular. The attitude is don't let him get us beat, and he hasn't done that. But I think he's been vanilla with their offense. Yeah,
but you know, I think that Steve Emsley. Steve is a good guy. I mean, he was at Auburn. He was at Georgia. He's very traditional. They get a transfer quarterback in. It's again a game manager, and they don't want to do a whole lot. They rely on the defense to win the football game, and I think they're good enough to do that. And you know, but back to your question, you know, I don't understand as bad as Ole Miss's defense is. But you know what, guys? They've been able to score against everybody but Alabama, and they got that first one in the first 11 seconds. I don't think LSU's defense is anywhere close to what Alabama's is. I think it's going to be an interesting ball game. And I'll be honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me, depending on how LSU plays, it wouldn't surprise me if Ole Miss, I don't think they beat them, but you know, they may come within 14 points of them.
Max, we're talking about a pretty tough situation. I don't really care for Florida to come into Mississippi State for a team in state who did everything but play last week against Kentucky. I don't know if they're that bad or whether they've been that good earlier. But is this an opportunity? Can Mississippi State beat Florida?
Oh, yeah. I think if you start, I did a show in Gainesville last night with a lot of Florida fans, and this is what we talked about. On paper, you lay the rosters down. Mississippi State's got a lot more talent than Florida's got right now on paper. Now, they didn't play at all last week, and I don't know whether it was lack of preparation. It was more his first real challenge, and I think Kentucky was a lot better than they thought. I think the Mississippi State people, including the staff and all, thought they would go to Lexington and play like they did when they went to Kansas State, but they didn't. Kansas State's not very good now. We know that. So I think that caught them by. I don't look for Mississippi State to play anywhere close to it. They got 17 penalties in that ball game. I don't look for that to happen. I think they worked extremely hard. It'll be loud. I did hear an interesting concept, though, coming out of Florida last night. They said Dan Mullen wins either way. The reason is if he gets beat, he's going to say, hey, I recruited all those kids. You know, they're better than we are right now. And, of course, if he wins Florida wins on the field, then he said, hey, I've turned this one around and we got a good team. So, but it's going to be loud, and it's going to be probably the most important game Mississippi State's played in Starkville probably in 10 or 15 years.
Max,
it's a complete sellout, and no tickets, no rooms available.
Max, when they announce the lineups, and then they say the head coach for the Florida Gators, Coach Dan Mullen, what is the crowd going to do?
Oh, my gosh. The bells are going to ring and boos are going – and he knows that. I talked to a guy that was at his press conference on Monday last night, and he said, Dan already knows what's going to happen. He said the long range effect. He hopes that they realize. He was there 9 years, and he had no doubt he turned the pro. He had one team when he had Prescott that was number one in the country for a couple of weeks. So he rebuilt the program from the ground up, and they know that new facilities, the expansion of the field, or the dressing rooms, and new field house, and all that stuff. So he's made his inroads there. Now go back to Coach what you asked. Mississippi State, I think, will win the ball game, but I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think Dan's got enough talent, and he's turned around that they don't have nearly where they will be in a couple of years. But I'll let Mississippi State win by maybe a touchdown or 10 points, something like that.
Did Kentucky win because State played bad, because Kentucky made them play bad, because Snell ran like – but do they have a chance? I think they've got a chance against South Carolina.
It's a pick 'em. The game's a pick 'em.
I'm picking South Carolina, Coach. I mean, I think at some point they're 4-0. That's the first time they've been 4-0 since 1977. So I mean, they aren't accustomed to being there. I think Stoops has done a good job. Don't get me wrong. They beat two SEC teams. They're 4-0 right now. But I think South Carolina. I think Muschamp's defense will be a little bit better. Will play better. I don't think they're better than Mississippi State, but I think they'll play better in this ball game. And I think that the line started off favorites South Carolina. They dropped. I think Kentucky's a 1-point favorite this morning, but that's a pick-em game. So whoever if they don't throw any interceptions, they don't lay it on the ground. I think whichever team does that probably will come out and win. I like South Carolina, and I think they can. I think they can stop that run that Kentucky's got right now.
Max, I think this new 4-game redshirt rule was really intended for the freshmen. I think it's backfiring now a little bit. Do you think these coaches now – I think Dabo made a mistake. I think the freshman kid was okay with coming off the bench, and when he made the change, I think he hurt his football team. I think he should have just kept going as it was. Do you think other coaches are looking at that and saying, all right, let's make sure we handle this properly. Let's don't make a change until we at least get 5 games under this guy's belt. Are people going to be more apt to be more careful about changing a position like quarterback until this eligibility thing?
I think you got two or three options in there. First of all, Dabo he's not looking at Syracuse right now. He's looking down the road. He's looking to get into the championship. And obviously he's already looked at what Fromm did at Georgia with Justin Fields backing him up, and what Jalen did at Alabama, and Tua backing him up and now become the starter. I think he rolled the dice on that and saying maybe Bryant can't get me there to the championship and win the championship. And I think he rolled the dice on the kid. And he said, hey, he's already graduated. I personally think that those transfers like that, would you take the kid at Clemson? I just think that if you aren't going to the NFL and you need playing time to get to the NFL, then why transfer? That's my whole reasoning with it. And I think a lot of those kids, been whispered in their ear by friends and family and maybe agents along the way saying, hey, you got a chance. You need to get somewhere where you're going. Now, the numbers, I think all of that had, and I think Coach Saban pretty well summed it up. And he used the word slippery slope. You have to be careful how you handle that, because if you got one or two that might be unhappy for what he's not getting enough playing time, or he's had some other problems, personality problems with a coach or the practice itself, then he may be looking for a way to go. So I think that opens the door for those people that are on the roster that maybe either want to play more and think they got a chance to go to the NFL or unhappy.
Yeah, I think the Clemson thing, and I was on the show yesterday, the Clemson thing is, and Barry's correct, and it's second guessing for me and him both, is to play your regular guy and then bring in your freshman. Now, I had the question asked, when you get to the playoffs, what do you do? I said, then you play the quarterback you want to play.
Exactly.
I mean,
right.
that's what this world's all about. Then when you get to the playoffs, you start the guy that's give you the best chance to win the playoff game. That's all. They've got a no schedule. Florida State couldn't beat your grandmother. There's nobody in the league that's any good this year.
That's
so
right.
They're going to walk through it. So that's he did make a mistake.
Yeah, I think it backfired on him, Max, because I hear what you're saying. He thinks Lawrence can get him there. But if this kid goes down, now you're sitting there with a true freshman. So you hurt you hurt the football team in that situation. I believe.
Don't tell me, Barry, that locker room's not split.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, and I think you're subject to you open the door to make that mistake. But somewhere in that, and I just use Dabo as an example, he made the decision based on what's coming down the road. Not. I don't buy at all that they had to get ready for Syracuse. Now, Syracuse is 4-0, and I know that's the next game. I understand all that scenarios. But the fact is that Dabo wants to win another championship, and he was trying to get somebody ready to be the quarterback that can take him to the next championship, I believe. Now, only time will tell us if it was a bad mistake or not.
This Arkansas Texas A&M game, I don't understand why they play that thing in Fort Worth. Play it on the campuses, one. But the line's 21, Max. Can you see a scenario where Texas A&M, well, no, not where they're going to win. Arkansas's going to win. But I think playing Clemson, playing Alabama, you get so juiced up for those games, you're going to have a letdown. When you look at Arkansas's scores, you're beat up a little bit. Is there any way that you think that Arkansas can keep this close?
No, they just don't have enough talent, Barry. I mean, if you watched them against Auburn, and Auburn didn't play well at all, Auburn wins 34-3. Their special teams is not good, and I mean, I think they're in for a really long year. And I've talked to a bunch of folks over there, and it's deeper and something I had no clue. I didn't know that Bielema had let the discipline go, and Chad Marsh is having to come in and redirect. And I was told yesterday that you're going to see some even more new people, new faces on the roster. That they're bringing in those new freshmen to start to play, because that transition didn't work at all the way Chad Marsh wanted it to. Those kids, it's a completely different system, but he's instituted either get with the program or get gone kind of attitude out here, because they were missing weight workouts, and some of them were coming to practice late and all that stuff. It was just it deteriorated down to nothing, because Bielema knew he was out really 2 years ago, I think. But he walked away with $11.5 million, so it didn't matter to him basically. So I think to answer your question, I think A&M just rocks along. I think Jimbo's doing a good job, and I think eventually it's going to beat Texas A&M and Alabama in the SEC West.
Mac, you think Dad could have been wrong about Cole Kelly? They took him out of the lineup and only scored 3. Maybe they need to get the 6'8" quarterback back in there.
Right. I don't know. Look, he can't outrun any of the three of us. That's the difference. And they do have a couple of young freshmen that are familiar with his system that they brought out of high school from Texas. So I think that's where we'll start, seeing some improvement along the way. But now, to answer your question, I think A&M rolls again. I think they win. I think they cover the 21.
Wow. Dad?
Is there any reason to be disappointed with 80,000 people at the Alabama game?
No, I don't think so, Coach. I mean, look, it's I understand why they schedule games like that, but when you get to that level in play, I think Tim Saban will play, 65 or 70 kids tomorrow, and try to keep anybody from getting hurt. And I don't, they may score 40 or 45. They could score probably 75 if they wanted to. And I understand that thing, but you remember that the season itself, the Alabama base is, it's a strong football crowd, but somewhere down the line, a lot of people want to take a Saturday off, and a game like this is the time that they're going to take a Saturday off. If it was an SEC school playing, it'd be packed, and but they aren't. So just remember the TV audience is still going to be there to some degree. This is just one of those games. You get yourself healthy. You take it is for what it is, and you start looking forward to the next one.
All right, Max, what's for supper?
I mean, I cooked pork steaks Monday night this week. A friend of mine had it up, and I think we had 8 or 9 people there. And they are pork chops. These are cut off the shoulder of a hog, and I cook them like a steak. I marinate them in garlic and black pepper and Worcestershire, and I baste that on the grill instead of a hot grill. I use charcoal on pork, and I sear the outside and get it go. I don't leave any pink strip in pork like I do a steak. So, but those were so moist and so tender. They were about 3/4 of an inch thick, With that, I had a baked sweet potatoes. I had two different salads. I had a iced potato salad, and I had a coleslaw salad to go with it. The garlic bread's always a side. Big old pitcher of sweet iced tea. And for this, I had a berry pie. It was blackberries, blueberries, all coming right from the oven. And on top of it, of course, we had to put vanilla ice cream.
Great stuff as always, Max. We'll look forward
Thanks, Max. Appreciate it.
to you Monday.
We've got a lot to talk about. Hey, why did CBS take Georgia and Tennessee?
I think they should have taken Kentucky, South Carolina.
I do too. Absolutely, I agree.
Throw the Wildcats a bone, but they didn't.
Yeah, there we go.
Thanks.
All right, guys, y'all have a good weekend.